Jake Sullivan stood in the command center of Nexus's Prime, watching the Coalition fleet through the main display screen. 47 warships surrounded the station, their weapons charged and ready to fire. Each ship carried enough firepower to crack a moon in half. Captain Lisa Wong's face appeared on the communications screen. She was the fleet commander, a stern woman with short black hair and calculating eyes. Her ship, the Dreadnought, was the largest vessel in the Coalition Navy. "This is Captain Wong to Nexus Prime," she said. "We are here under direct orders from the Coalition Council. Surrender the human known as Jake Sullivan immediately." High Counselor Marin Darkwater's hologram materialized beside the screen. "Sullivan, you are to come aboard our ships peacefully. We have prepared a special containment facility where you can be studied safely." Jake looked at the counselor with sad eyes. "You mean a prison? A necessary precaution? Your abilities pose a threat to galactic civilization." Dr. Elena Vasquez stepped forward. "Counselor Jake has been cooperative. He wants to help find a peaceful solution." "Dr. Vasquez, step away from the human," Captain Wong ordered. "Our scans show massive quantum distortions around him. He could kill everyone on that station without meaning to." Jake felt the truth in those words. Even now, he could sense the quantum fields bending around him. The station's structure was becoming unstable just from his presence. If he stayed much longer, the entire facility might collapse into a dimensional rift. "Captain Wong is right," Jake said quietly. "I am dangerous, more dangerous than any of you realize." Lieutenant Amy Foster moved to stand beside him. "Jake, you don't have to do this alone." "Yes, I do." Jake turned to face the assembled station crew. "All of you have been kind to me. You treated me like a person when you could have seen me as a monster. But I won't let my problems destroy innocent lives." Dr. Chris Martinez checked his instruments and paled. "The quantum readings are spiking. Whatever you're going to do, Jake, decide quickly. The space-time fabric around us is starting to crack." Jake closed his eyes and reached out with his enhanced consciousness. He could feel the quantum fields that held reality together, stretching and warping under the pressure of his evolving abilities. Soon they would snap, creating a tear in space-time that could swallow star systems. "There's something I haven't told you," Jake said, opening his eyes. "The Genesis Protocol didn't just enhance humans. It was designed to make us into something that could survive the end of the universe itself. We were meant to become beings of pure consciousness, able to exist beyond physical reality." Dr. Vasquez felt her heart stop. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that what's happening to me isn't an accident. It's the final stage of the process. In a few more hours, I won't be human anymore. I'll be something that exists outside normal space and time." Captain Wong's voice came through the speakers with urgency. "All ships prepare to fire. We cannot allow this transformation to complete." Jake looked at the weapons pointed at him and made his choice. Instead of defending himself or fleeing, he did something that surprised everyone. Began to build walls in his own mind. Using his quantum consciousness, Jake created barriers around his abilities. He imagined chains made of pure willpower, wrapping around the part of his mind that could reshape reality. It was like voluntarily cutting off his own limbs. Choosing to be less than he could be, the quantum readings throughout the station began to stabilize. The dangerous energy spikes smoothed out into gentle waves. Jake was limiting his own evolution, trapping his godlike powers behind mental barriers that he himself had created. "What are you doing?" Dr. Kalen Voss asked in amazement. "I'm choosing to stay human," Jake said. Sweat beaded on his forehead from the effort of containing his abilities. Alina was right. Sometimes limitations are what make us who we are. Captain Wong watched her instruments in confusion. "The threat readings are dropping. What's happening over there?" "Jake is sacrificing his power to protect us," Dr. Vasquez said into the communicator. "He's choosing to limit himself rather than become something dangerous. That's impossible. No being willingly reduces their own capabilities." "A human would," Jake said, his voice carrying clearly over the communication channel. "Captain Wong, I know you're afraid of what I might become, but I'm more afraid of losing who I am. I won't let these abilities turn me into something that hurts innocent people." High Counselor Darkwater studied the readings from her command ship, The quantum distortions are contained, but can you maintain this level of self-control indefinitely? Jake nodded slowly. Think so. The barriers I've built should hold as long as I'm conscious, but there's something else I need to do. What? Need to find the other ships? The ones carrying people like me? If they're still out there, they need to know about this technique. They need to learn how to choose their own limitations. Dr. Vasquez understood immediately. You want to help them stay human too, if they want to. Some might choose to complete the transformation and become beings of pure consciousness, but they should have the choice. Captain Wong considered this for a long moment. And if we let you go look for these other humans? How do we know you won't change your mind and use your full abilities? Jake smiled, and for the first time in days, it looked completely human, because I'm going to ask for help. I want Dr. Vasquez and her team to come with me. They can monitor my condition and help me maintain the mental barriers. You're asking for supervision? I'm asking for friends. People who can remind me why being human is worth choosing. The communication channel was quiet for several minutes as the coalition leaders discussed Jake's proposal. Finally, Counselor Darkwater spoke. Very well. We will provide you with a ship and a small crew. You may search for the other Genesis Protocol subjects. But you will report your location regularly, and any sign that you're losing control will result in immediate military response. I understand, Jake said. And Counselor, thank you for giving me the chance to prove that humans can choose cooperation over domination. 3 weeks later, Jake stood on the bridge of the exploration vessel New Horizon, watching a derelict human ship appear on their scanners. It was the 4th such vessel they had found, and like the others, it contained people. In cryogenic sleep, Dr. Vasquez worked beside him, monitoring the quantum field readings around Jake's location. The mental barriers he had built were holding strong, keeping his dangerous abilities contained. Life signs detected, reported Lieutenant Amy Foster from the sensor station. 5 humans in stable cryogenic suspension, same as the others. Jake said, people like me, waiting to be awakened. They had developed a careful process for reviving the Genesis Protocol subjects. Jake would explain the situation to them as they awakened, showing them how to build their own mental barriers. Before their abilities could grow out of control, so far, they had successfully awakened 12 enhanced humans. All of them had chosen to limit their abilities rather than risk becoming threats to galactic civilization. They were building a new human community, one based on voluntary restraint and cooperation with other species. Jake, Dr. Vasquez said, quietly, do you ever regret your choice, giving up all that power? Jake looked out at the stars and thought about the question. He could have become a god, able to reshape reality with a thought. Instead, he had chosen to remain human, with all the limitations and weaknesses that came with it. No, he said finally. Power without wisdom is just destruction waiting to happen. I'd rather be human and flawed than perfect and alone. As the New Horizon approached the derelict ship, Jake felt the familiar sensation of his contained abilities stirring behind their mental barriers. But the barriers held, and he remained in control. Humanity had returned to the galaxy not as conquerors, but as partners. And Jake Sullivan, the last man to awaken from humanity's long sleep, had shown them that true strength came not from power, but from the wisdom to choose restraint. The stars ahead held more sleeping humans, waiting to be given the same choice he had made. And Jake was determined to help them all find their way back to being human in a universe that had learned to fear what they might become. The research ship Horizon's Edge moved slowly through the empty space of the Kepler void. Dr. Alina Martinez stood at the observation window,
watching the stars drift past.
She had spent 5 years searching through old battlefields, looking for pieces of the past. Today felt different. Today, they had found something big. Dr. Martinez, we're getting close to the target, called out Lieutenant Commander Vexstar from the bridge. The tall alien's blue skin shimmered under the ship's lights. His people, the hegemony, had been allies with the Galactic Coalition. For over 200 years, Alina walked to the bridge and looked at the main screen. There, floating in the darkness, was a human warship. The metal hull was scarred and twisted from old battle damage. Parts of it were missing completely. But it was still there, still whole enough to explore. "How long has it been out here?" Alina asked. Dr. Quillen, an ethereal from the collective, checked his readings. His transparent skin glowed softly as he worked. The radiation patterns suggest approximately 312 years. This vessel has been drifting since the final year of the Human-Cephrean War. Alina felt her heart race. The Human-Cephrean War had ended over 3 centuries ago with the complete destruction of humanity, or so everyone believed. Finding intact human technology was rare. Finding an entire warship was almost impossible. "What's the ship's identification?" she asked. U.S. Defiant, Vexstar read from his console. "According to our records, it was reported destroyed during the Battle of Proxima Station." Alina nodded. She knew that battle well. It was one of the last major fights before humanity fell. The humans had fought with desperate courage, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. The Zephyrian Empire was too strong. "Take us closer," Alina ordered. "I want to board that ship." There's large eyes showed concern. "Doctor, that vessel could be dangerous." Human military technology was unpredictable. Alina understood his worry. Humans had a reputation throughout the galaxy. They were known as fierce warriors who never gave up, even when facing impossible odds. Their weapons were crude but effective. Their tactics were brutal but clever. When they finally lost the war, many species felt both relief and sadness. "We'll be careful," Alina said, "but this is too important to ignore." "How often do we get to study an intact human warship?" Dr. Quillen floated closer to them. His people didn't walk like other species. They moved through the air like they were swimming. "I must agree with the commander's caution. Human vessels were often equipped with automated defense systems. And even after 3 centuries, some systems might still function." Lena looked at both aliens. She respected their concerns, but she also knew this was the discovery of a lifetime. "We'll scan it first. Full spectrum analysis. If it's safe, we board. If not, we document what we can and leave." The next 2 hours passed slowly as the horizon's edge moved close to the human ship. The scanners worked constantly, checking for power signatures, weapon systems, and life signs. Alina watched every reading carefully. "The ship appears to be completely dead," Vexstar reported. "No power, no active systems, no movement. But doctor, there's something strange." "What is it?" "Deep inside the ship, there's a small power signature. Very weak, but it's there. It's coming from what appears to be the medical section." Alina felt excitement building in her chest. Life support. Possibly. Or it could be automated systems preserving medical supplies. Dr. Quillen moved to his own console. "I'm detecting traces of cryogenic coolant. Very faint, but present." Alina's mind raced. Cryogenic systems meant preservation. It could be medical samples or research materials, or could it be a person? "Highly unlikely," Vexter said quickly. "No human has been seen alive for over 3 centuries. The entire species was wiped out. But what if one survived?" Alina asked. "What if someone was in cryosleep when the ship was damaged?" The bridge fell silent. The idea seemed impossible, but Alina couldn't let it go. If there was even a small chance that a human had survived, they had to check. "We're going aboard," she decided. "Full environmental suits, armed escort, maximum." "Precautions," Vexstar started to object, but Alina cut him off. "This is a scientific mission under Coalition authority. I'm making the decision." 20 minutes later, Alina led a team of 6 through the broken airlock of the UES Defiant. Their helmet lights cut through the darkness inside the ship. The corridors were twisted and damaged, but still passable. "Stay close," Alina said into her radio. "Watch for unstable sections." They moved slowly through the ship. The walls were covered with human writing and symbols. Alina recognized some of it from her studies. Directions to different sections, warning signs, unit insignias. Everything was written in the angular letters of human script. "The medical bay should be 2 sections forward," Dr. Quillen said. Checking his scanner, they passed through what looked like a mess hall. Tables and chairs were bolted to the floor, but some had been torn loose by whatever had damaged the ship. Personal items were scattered everywhere. Photos of human families, small electronic devices, books made of actual paper, Alina picked up. One of the photos, it showed a young human male in military uniform, standing with a female and two small children. All of them were smiling. She thought about how this person probably died centuries ago, never knowing what happened to his family. "Doctor, the power signature is getting stronger," Vexstar called out. "We're close." They reached the medical bay and found the source of the power. In the center of the room was a single cryogenic pod, still functioning. Frost covered its transparent window, but Alina could see the outline of a human form inside. "Incredible," Dr. Quillen whispered. "The pod is still active. Someone is alive in there." Alina approached the pod carefully. She wiped away some of the frost and looked inside. A human male, probably in his 30s, lay perfectly preserved. His skin was pale but healthy looking. According to the pod's display, he had been asleep for exactly 312 years. "Look at this," Vexter said, pointing to a panel near the pod. "Military identification, Staff Sergeant Jake Morrison, 7th Orbital Marines." Alina read the information on the screen. Morrison was a combat veteran with multiple service decorations. His medical file showed he was in perfect health when he entered cryosleep. According to the records, he was supposed to wake up after 6 months. "Should we revive him?" Dr. Quillen asked. Alina stared at the sleeping human. This could be the last member of an extinct species. The scientific value was enormous. But there were risks. Humans were known to be violent, especially soldiers. And this one had been asleep for over 3 centuries. He would wake up to find his entire species dead and his civilization gone. "The ethical implications are significant," Dr. Quillen continued. "This individual has no knowledge of current galactic politics. He believes his people are still fighting a war that ended centuries ago." Alina made her decision. "We revive him. Carefully with full medical support, but we revive him." Vexstar stepped forward. "Doctor, I must protest. This could be dangerous. Human soldiers were trained killers." "He's also possibly the last human in the galaxy," Alina replied. "We can't just leave him here to die slowly as his pod fails." She began the revival sequence, following the pod's automated instructions. The process would take several hours, but it was already beginning. Inside the pod, Jake Morrison's body started the slow journey back to consciousness. As they waited, Alina wondered what they had really found. A survivor from a dead civilization, or something else entirely. The galaxy was about to meet its first living human in over 300 years, and nobody knew what would happen next. Jake Morrison's eyes opened slowly. The world was blurry, and his throat felt like sandpaper. Bright light shone down on him from above. He tried to speak, but only made a rough coughing sound. "Easy there," said a gentle voice. "You're safe. Take your time." Jake turned his head and saw a woman in a white coat standing beside him. She had dark hair and kind eyes. Behind her were 2 creatures he had never seen before. One was tall and blue with large black eyes. The other seemed to glow with a soft light and floated in the air. "Who are you?" Jake managed to say. His voice was weak and scratchy. "I'm Dr. Alina Martinez," the woman said. "We found you in cryosleep aboard the UES Defiant." "You've been asleep for a very long time." Jake tried to sit up but felt dizzy. "Long? Where's my unit? Did we win?" Alina looked sad. She glanced at the 2 aliens, then back at Jake. "Jake, you've been asleep for 312 years. The war is over." "Over." Jake's heart started beating faster. "Did we beat the Zephyrians? Are Earth and the colonies safe?" Alina was quiet for a long moment. Jake could see pain in her eyes. Finally, she spoke very softly. "Jake, humanity lost the war. Your species was declared extinct over 3 centuries ago." The words hit Jake like a physical blow. He stared at Alina, trying to understand what. She had said, "Extinct. That's impossible. There were billions of us. The colonies, the defense fleets." "I'm
sorry,"
Alina said. According to all galactic records, the last human strongholds fell 312 years ago.
Oh no.
No human has been seen alive since then, until now. Jake felt the room spinning around him.
Out.
Everything he had fought for, everyone he had known, all gone. His parents, his sister, his friends in the unit, all dead for centuries while he slept. I need to contact command, he said, trying to get up. I need to report in. The blue alien stepped forward. I am Commander Vexstar of the Hegemony. There is no human command to report to. Your military ceased to exist 3 centuries ago. Jake looked at the alien with suspicion. During the war, humans had very few alien allies. No species either. Stayed neutral or supported the Zephyrians' hegemony. I don't know that faction. Many things have changed, Dr. Quillen said, floating closer. The galaxy is very different now. The Zephyrian Empire still exists, but there has been peace for over 200 years. Peace. Jake's voice was bitter. They wiped out my entire species, and now there's peace? Alina sat down in a chair next to Jake's bed. Jake, I know this is overwhelming. But right now, you need to focus on recovering. Your body has been in cryosleep for over 3 centuries. It will take time to readjust. Over the next few days, Jake slowly regained his strength. Lena stayed with him most of the time, helping him understand what had happened to the galaxy. She told him about the great peace that followed humanity's defeat. How the major powers had formed the Galactic Coalition to prevent future wars. You're human too, Jake said to Alina during one of their talks. How did you survive? Lena hesitated. My great-grandmother was. Far from the main war zones when everything ended, some humans managed to hide, to blend in with other species. Very few, and we keep quiet about our heritage. Jake studied her face. You're scared of me. I'm not scared, Alina said carefully, cautious. Human soldiers had a reputation during the war. You were known for being extremely effective. Jake thought about his training, his unit, the missions they had run behind enemy lines. The 7th Orbital Marines were special forces, trained for the most dangerous operations. Right. We did what we had to do to protect our people. I understand, Elena said. But Jake, you need to know that the galaxy sees humans as legends now. Terrible legends. Stories are told about human soldiers who could fight armies and win. Captain Roy Bennett arrived at the medical station the next day. He was a security officer for Haven Point, the neutral station where they had brought Jake for treatment. Bennett was a big man with gray hair and tired eyes. So you're the miracle, Bennett said, looking at Jake. The last human warrior. I'm just a soldier, Jake replied. Bennett smiled slightly. My grandfather used to tell stories about human soldiers. Said they were the most dangerous fighters in the galaxy. Never gave up, never stopped fighting, even when they should have. Jake noticed something in Bennett's voice. Your grandfather fought in the war? On the Coalition side, Bennett said. He was there at the Battle of Kepler Station. Saw 300 humans hold off 10,000 Zephyrian Marines for 2 weeks. I remember that battle, Jake said quietly. I was there. Bennett's eyes widened. You were at Kepler Station? Jake nodded. We knew we couldn't win. But we had to buy time for the evacuation ships to escape. Every hour we held out meant more civilians got away. My grandfather said it was the most heroic thing he ever saw, Bennett said, and the most terrifying. He said human soldiers fought, like they were already dead. That afternoon, Dr. Quillen ran medical tests on Jake. The alien doctor seemed fascinated by human biology. He took blood samples, brain scans, and physical measurements. Remarkable, Dr. Quillen said, looking at his readings. Your species' physical capabilities are extraordinary. Bone density, 20% higher than most humanoids. Muscle efficiency, far beyond the galactic average. Jake didn't like being studied like a lab animal. Are you done? Nearly. I must ask, do you remember anything unusual about your mission? Why were you in cryosleep? Jake tried to remember. The memories felt fuzzy, like looking through fog. We were going somewhere. Special mission. I can't remember the details. Dr. Quillen made notes on his tablet. The cryosleep may have affected your memory. It should return gradually. That night, Jake had dreams. He was back on the U.S. Defiant with his unit. Sergeant? Lisa Parker was checking her equipment. Corporal Dan Foster was reviewing target data. The mission was important, but he couldn't remember why. In the dream, the ship was under attack. Explosions rocked the corridors. Someone was shouting orders to get to the cryopods. Emergency protocols were activated. Jake remembered the feeling of urgency, of desperation. He woke up in a cold sweat. Fragments of memory were coming back. The mission wasn't defensive. They weren't running from defeat. They were going somewhere specific, to do something important. The next morning, Yelena found Jake staring out the window at the stars. "Bad dreams?" she asked. "I'm starting to remember things," Jake said, "about my mission. We weren't trying to escape, Alina. We were going on the offensive." Lena sat down beside him. "What do you mean?" "I can't remember all of it yet, but we had orders. Special orders. We were supposed to do something after the main fleet was gone." Jake turned to look at her. "What if humanity didn't just give up and die? What if we had a plan?" Lena felt a chill run down her spine. "What kind of plan?" Jake closed his eyes, trying to force the memories to surface. "I don't know yet, but I think they're going to be very unhappy when they find out what we were really doing." Over the next few days, more memories returned. Jake remembered briefings about deep cover operations. He remembered being told that even if Earth fell, even if every human colony was destroyed, the mission would continue. Captain Bennett noticed the change in Jake's behavior. "You're remembering something, aren't you?" Jake nodded. "Pieces. My unit had a special assignment. We were trained for something beyond normal combat operations." "What kind of training?" Bennett asked. Jake looked at him with eyes that seemed much older than his face. "It's the kind that makes sure if we go down, we don't go down alone." Alina overheard this conversation and felt fear creep into her heart. She had studied human military history. She knew about their reputation for never accepting defeat. If Jake was remembering some kind of revenge operation, it could mean disaster for the entire galaxy. That evening, Alina sent a coded message to the Galactic Council. She told them about Jake's recovering memories and her concerns about what his original mission might have been. The response came back within hours. Chancellor Curthin himself wanted to speak with Jake Morrison. The most powerful leader in the galaxy was interested in the last human soldier. Alina realized they had awakened something much more dangerous than just a survivor from an extinct species. They had awakened a weapon that had been sleeping for over 3 centuries, waiting for the right moment to complete its mission, and now that weapon was starting to remember what it was supposed to do. The alarm bells rang through Haven Point Station at exactly 0300 hours. Jake Morrison woke instantly, his soldier's training taking over. Something was wrong. The lights in his room flashed red, and he could hear running footsteps in the corridor. Outside, Alina burst through his door without knocking. "Jake, we have a problem. Zephyrian ships just dropped out of hyperspace, a full battle group." Jake was already getting dressed. "How many ships?" 12 warships and a command cruiser?" Alina said, her voice tight with worry. "They're demanding immediate surrender of all personnel aboard this station." "They want me," Jake said simply. It wasn't a question. Alina nodded. "Admiral Creoneth is commanding the fleet. He's ordered us to hand you over within 1 hour, and they'll take the station by force." Jake finished putting on his boots and stood up. "How many people are on this station?" "About 8,000. Civilians, researchers, traders from dozens of species." Jake walked to the window and looked out at the Zephyrian ships. They hung in space like dark sharks, their weapons pointed at the station. "They haven't changed much," he said quietly. "Still think they can solve everything with threats?" Captain Bennett arrived at Jake's quarters along with Commander Vextar and Dr. Quillen. All 3 looked worried. "The station council is meeting to decide what to do," Bennett said.
Most
"Of them want to hand you over to avoid a fight?" "That might be wise," Commander Vextar said. "The Zephyrians have enough firepower to destroy this station completely." Jake looked at each of them. "And what do you think?" Bennett crossed his arms. "I think if they want you, they can come and take you. This is a neutral station under coalition. Protection!" Dr. Quillen floated nervously. "Violence would be unfortunate. Perhaps negotiation." "There's no negotiating with Zephyrians," Jake said. "Trust me." I know them better than anyone here. Alina felt her heart racing. Jake, what are you planning? Nothing, Jake said. I'm going to let them make the first move. 30 minutes later, the first Zephyrian shuttles launched from the fleet. Admiral Kreanath was coming aboard with a full company of elite Marines. The station's small security force prepared to meet them, but everyone knew they were completely outmatched. Jake waited in the main docking bay with Alina, Bennett, and the other senior staff. When the Zephyrian shuttle landed, 50 heavily armed soldiers poured out. They were tall reptilian creatures with dark green scales and yellow eyes. Their weapons were already drawn. Admiral Kreanath stepped out last. He was older than the others, with scars covering his face and hands. Jake recognized the type immediately, career military officer who had probably fought in the original war. I am Admiral Kreanath of the Zephyrian Imperial Navy, the Alien announced. By order of the Empire, I am here to take custody of the human war criminal known as Jake Morrison. War criminal, Alina stepped forward angrily. He's a soldier who was in cryosleep for over 3 centuries. Kreanath's yellow eyes fixed on her. Dr. Martinez, I presume. You have interfered with Imperial justice by reviving this creature. Jake had been standing quietly, but now he spoke. Hello, Admiral. Nice to see Zephyrian manners haven't improved. Kreanath turned to look at Jake for the first time. The Admiral's eyes widened slightly. So it is true. Human soldier lives again. He paused, studying Jake's face. You are much smaller than I expected. Most humans are, Jake said calmly. We make up for it in other ways. The tension in the docking bay was thick. 50 Zephyrian Marines had their weapons pointed at a handful of station security guards. Everyone knew this could turn into a massacre very quickly. You will come with us now, Kreanath ordered. Resistance will result in the destruction of this station and everyone on it. Jake looked around at the faces of the people who had helped him. Lena, who had risked her career to revive him. Bennett, who had treated him with respect. Even Dr. Quillen and Commander Vexstar, who had been kind despite their fears. I have a better idea, Jake said. What happened next took exactly 8 seconds. But it felt like slow motion to everyone watching. Jake moved faster than anyone thought possible. He stepped to his left, grabbed a security guard's weapon, and spun around behind a support pillar. In the same motion, he kicked over a cargo container, creating cover. The first Zephyrian Marine to react found himself disarmed and unconscious before he could fire a shot. Jake had somehow crossed 10 feet of open space and taken down a fully armored soldier without making a sound. Take cover, Bennett shouted, but Jake was already moving again. The Zephyrian Marines started firing, but Jake wasn't where they expected him to be. He seemed to flow between their shots like water, always one step ahead of their aim. Every few seconds, another Marine would collapse unconscious. Admiral Kreanath backed toward his shuttle, shouting orders. Kill him! Kill the human! But Jake had reached the main power controls for the docking bay. With 3 quick movements, he shut down the artificial gravity, sealed the bay doors, and activated the emergency containment field in the zero gravity. The heavily armored Zephyrian Marines became clumsy and slow. Jake, however, moved like he had been born in space. He pushed off walls and ceiling, using his momentum to strike and disappear again. Alina watched in shock as Jake systematically disabled the entire Zephyrian force. He wasn't killing them, just knocking them unconscious with precise strikes. It was like watching a deadly dance. Within minutes, all 50 Marines were floating unconscious in the zero gravity. Jake hung in the air near the ceiling, breathing normally and showing no signs of fatigue. Admiral Kreanath was the only Zephyrian. Still conscious? He stared up at Jake with a mixture of fear and hatred. Impossible. No single being could defeat 50 Imperial Marines. Jake dropped down to float near the Admiral. You're right. No normal being could. What are you? Kreanath whispered. Jake smiled, but it wasn't a friendly expression. I'm starting to remember. Lena managed to activate her magnetic boots and walk over to them. Jake, what just happened? How did you do that? Training, Jake said simply. But even as he spoke, more memories were flooding back. The special program, the modifications, the enhancements that made him more than human. Dr. Quillen had also reached them, his ability to float, making him the most mobile in zero gravity. Your physical performance was impossible. Speed, the coordination, the tactical awareness. No known species could. Could what? Jake asked. Could fight like that. Dr. Quillen finished quietly. Jake looked at his hands. He was starting to remember the medical procedures, the genetic modifications, the cybernetic implants that were so small they couldn't be detected by normal scans. Doctor, I need you to run new tests on me, much more detailed tests. Admiral Creonath was still, staring at Jake. You're not just a soldier, or something else. Something worse. What do you mean? Lena asked. Creonath's voice was bitter. During the war, there were rumors. Stories about human super soldiers, enhanced warriors who could take on entire armies. We thought they were just propaganda. Jake felt another wave of memories returning. His unit wasn't just special forces. They were the result of humanity's most desperate experiment, Project Prometheus. They had been turned into living weapons, Lena Jake said quietly. I think we need to contact the Galactic Council immediately. Why? Jake looked at the unconscious Marines floating around them, because I'm not the only one. There are others like me, and if they're starting to wake up, the galaxy has a serious problem. Alina felt cold fear in her stomach. How many others? Jake closed his eyes, trying to access the buried memories. 46 more. All in hidden cryo facilities. All programmed to complete the same mission. What mission? Alina asked, though she was afraid of the answer. Jake opened his eyes and looked at her with an expression she had never seen before. It was the look of a weapon that was finally remembering what it was built to do. To make sure that if humanity died, we wouldn't die alone. In the silence that followed, everyone in the docking bay understood that they had awakened something far more dangerous than a single soldier. They had awakened the first piece of humanity's final revenge against the galaxy that had destroyed them. And somewhere in the hidden depths of space, 46 other sleeping weapons were beginning to stir. Jake Morrison stood in the shuttle bay of Captain Bennett's ship, the Silent Runner. They had escaped Haven Point 3 hours ago, just before the Zephyrian fleet opened fire on the station. Bennett had managed to get all the civilians to safety, but the station itself was now a burning wreck in space. Alina checked the navigation computer. The coordinates are locked in. Are you sure this is right? Jake nodded. The memory is clear now. Erebus 7 mining station, sector 419. That's where Lisa is sleeping. Sergeant Lisa Parker, Bennett said, reading from Jake's military file. Economic. Warfare specialist. What does that mean exactly? Jake thought for a moment. Lisa can crash entire planetary economies with a computer terminal in 30 minutes. She knows how money moves through the galaxy better than anyone. Dr. Quillen floated nervously nearby. One human soldier nearly destroyed a space station. If you wake up another enhanced human, the galaxy needs to understand what it's dealing with, Jake said firmly. Besides, Lisa deserves the chance to wake up. She's been sleeping as long as I have. Commander Vexstar had joined them on Bennett's ship after the escape from Haven Point. His government wanted him to observe and report back. The Galactic Council is in emergency session. Chancellor Curthin is demanding answers about your capabilities. He'll get them soon enough, Jake said. The Silent Runner dropped out of hyperspace near Erebus 7. The mining station was old and abandoned, floating in the asteroid field like a metal skeleton. Its lights were dark, and its docking bays were sealed. Looks dead, Bennett said, scanning the station. It's supposed to look dead, Jake replied. What, there's a hidden section in the lower levels? Lisa's pod is there. They docked carefully and made their way through the empty corridors. Jake led them to what looked like a solid wall, but when he pressed his hand against a hidden scanner, a door slid open. Behind the wall was a small room with a single cryopod, just like the one Jake had been found in. The pod was active, humming. Quietly in the darkness, Alina wiped frost off the viewing window and looked inside. She looked so young. All were, Jake said sadly. Too young to be turned into weapons. Jake began the wake-up process. As the pod opened and Lisa Parker slowly returned to consciousness, Jake felt a strange sensation in his head. It was like a radio signal, very faint but getting stronger. Lisa's eyes opened, and she looked around in confusion. "Jake, what happened? Where are we?" "It's a long story," Jake said, helping her sit up. "How do you feel?" "Strange. Like there's something in my head." Lisa touched her temple. "I can sense you, Jake. I can feel your thoughts." Lena and the others watched in fascination as the two enhanced humans seemed to communicate without speaking. Jake and Lisa looked at each other for a long moment, and then Lisa's face went pale. 300 years, she whispered. "Everyone's dead?" Jake nodded. "I'm sorry, Lisa. We're the only ones left." Lisa was quiet for several minutes as she processed what Jake had told her. Then she stood up and walked to a computer terminal in the wall. "I need to see what's happened to the galactic economy." Fingers moved over the keyboard faster than Alina thought possible. Numbers and charts flashed across the screen as Lisa accessed financial networks across dozens of star systems. "Interesting," Lisa said after a few minutes. "The economy is much more connected now than it was during the war. That makes it more vulnerable." "Vulnerable to what?" Commander Vexstar asked. Lisa looked at him with eyes that seemed to calculate his worth in credits. "To someone who knows where the weak points are." She turned back to the computer and typed a few commands. Somewhere in the hegemony banking system, a minor calculation error appeared in the interest rate calculations. It was tiny, less than 1/10 of 1%, but it would compound over time. "What did you just do?" Alina asked. "Nothing much," Lisa said. "In about 6 months, that small error will cause the hegemony central bank to lose approximately 2 billion credits. It's reversible, just a demonstration." Commander Vexstar's skin turned a darker shade of blue. "You attacked our financial system." "I showed you what I could do if I wanted to attack it," Lisa corrected. "Jake's right. The galaxy needs to understand what we are." Jake felt more memories returning. With Lisa awake, his enhanced neural implants were working better. "Lisa, do you remember the mission parameters?" "Some of it. We were supposed to wait for activation codes from command." "When Earth fell, ... Double quotes, she paused, accessing her buried memories. "When Earth fell, we were supposed to begin systematic destabilization of Zephyrian assets." Alina felt sick. "You were programmed to destroy their economy." "Among other things," Lisa said. "Economic warfare was just my specialty. Others had different targets." Jake closed his eyes and concentrated. The neural link was getting stronger. "Now, I can sense the others. They're starting to wake up." "How many are active?" Lisa asked. 3 more, I think. Dan Foster activated yesterday. Amy Watson about 6 hours ago. And ... double quotes. Jake frowned. "Someone else, but the signal is strange." Bennett checked his communications equipment. "I'm getting reports from across the galaxy. Strange. Incidents, system failures, unexplained events." "That would be the others," Lisa said. "Each Prometheus soldier has different abilities, different ways of causing chaos." Dr. Quillen was frantically taking notes. "This is unprecedented. Coordinated network of enhanced beings, all programmed for warfare." "We weren't supposed to be awake at the same time," Jake said. "The plan was for us to activate individually over the course of years. Sequential deployment to maximize psychological impact." Lisa was already back at the computer terminal. "But now that we're all waking up together, we can coordinate our efforts, share information instantly through the neural link." Alina watched in horror as data flowed across the screen. Financial records, shipping schedules, military deployments, civilian populations. Lisa was mapping the galaxy's entire economic structure in real time. "Lisa, you have to stop," Alina said. "You're not at war anymore. The conflict ended centuries ago." Lisa looked at her with sad eyes. "Lena, we were programmed for one mission. Revenge. Even if we wanted to stop, I'm not sure we could." Jake felt another presence in his mind. Strong. Angry, focused on biological systems. Dan's awake. "He's not happy." "Where is he?" Bennett asked. "Rigel Station." "He's in the medical district." Jake's face went pale. "He thinks the alien doctors there are experimenting on humans." "Are they?" Lena asked. "No, but Dan doesn't know that." His memories are confused, and his specialty is biological warfare. Jake grabbed Elena's arm. "Need to get to Rigel Station now. If Dan thinks humans are being tortured, he'll sterilize the entire medical district." Bennett was already running for the pilot's seat. "How long do we have?" Date concentrated on the neural link. He could feel Don Foster's mind, filled with rage and confusion. The enhanced soldier was preparing to release something into the station's atmosphere, something that would kill every non-human on Rigel Station within hours. Jake said, "Maybe less." As the silent runner jumped to hyperspace, Alina realized the true scope of what they were facing. 47 enhanced humans, each one a weapon designed to fight an entire civilization. Each one programmed for revenge against a galaxy that had destroyed their people, and now they were all waking up at once. With 3 centuries of anger and no clear enemy to fight, Lisa was still working at her computer terminal, accessing systems. "Across the galaxy, Jake. I'm seeing increased military activity in 6 sectors. The Zephyrians are mobilizing their fleets." "They're scared," Jake said. "Good. They should be." Lena looked at Jake with growing concern. The kind, confused man she had awakened on the Defiant was changing. With each memory that returned, with each connection to his fellow weapons, he was becoming something harder and more dangerous. "Jake," she said quietly, "remember that there are innocent people in this galaxy, people who had nothing to do with the war." Jake met her eyes, and for a moment she saw the human soldier she had first met. Then the moment passed, and something colder looked back at her. "Innocent people like the humans who were wiped out 3 centuries ago?" he asked. Alina realized with growing dread that humanity's final revenge was only just beginning.